What I'm going to do is I'm going to write a simple facing toolpath for this part. I already set up my, oh, that's not what I want. Right click in there. I already set up my job and everything's good. I changed the name of it to something useful. And now for the toolpath of facing, I'm going to go to 2D milling, face. Brings up the facing toolpath, and it defaults to tool. I need to choose a tool. I'm going to go to my library that I have linked on the server. I'm going to go to my 2-inch face mill. I have a Haas 2-inch face mill, this guy right here, that is set up for milling steel. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. Geometry, since I defined my stock in the job, I do not need to define it here, so I'm just going to bypass that for facing. Heights is just that. It's all the varying heights it's going to take for that toolpath. So I went to the side here so you can see. So the clearance height is 400 thou above the part. For this simple toolpath, I'm going to leave it. Retract height is 200 thou above the stock for when it's moving from one side of the part to the other. That'll work here too. Feed height is going to be 200 thou from the top. That'll work for this simple toolpath. The top of my part is going to be 0 inches from the stock top. Notice how I hover and it brings up those helpful windows. The bottom of my facing move is going to be the top of the model. So everything, I'm just going to leave the defaults there. Passes. This is where I define how many passes I'm going to take for this toolpath, for this facing move. So it defaulted, it's a 2-inch face mill, and it defaulted to a step over of 1.84. Let's do 2 inches times 0.66, so I want to do a 2/3 step over. So I'm going to step over 2/3 of 1.32. If you want it to go beyond your part for the purpose of tool marks, here you can extend off of your part. Chip thinning, I'm not going to turn it on here. This is just going to be a simple toolpath. We are going to do multiple depths though, because that piece of stock we have up there is 120, it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. So let's take them off on 50 thou depths. And we're going to take a finishing step of 30. You know what? I'm going to go a roughing of 75. So it'll take roughing passes of 75 thou, and it'll leave 30 thou to do a finish pass. And with the corner radius on that tool, that should look fine. And then for the feed pass for the finish, what did I have here for a feed? I had spindle speed, an SFM of 450, a feed rate of 14, which is a 4 thou chip load. Yeah, we'll leave the chip load the same. We'll leave a 4 thou chip load. So I'm not going to change the feed rate for the finish, but I could if I wanted to here and slow it down. All right, I'm not going to leave any stock. This is just our lead in and lead outs. It looks fine now. Green check. And I'm going to go to a ISO view so we can see. Looks like it's going to take 2 roughing passes and then a finish pass. Now, let's go ahead and simulate this. I can either choose simulate, which just brings my tool down and starts running my tool. But I find that it's more useful if I do a stock simulation. This will bring my stock in, and then as I simulate it, it actually shows. I'm going to slow that down so we can watch it a little more. Yep, start from the beginning. So there's a nice, useful stock simulation. And here it's giving me events. So if your stock collided with your tool, if your tool collided with your work holding, it would show up here. Over on the side we have some useful information. It took 3.5 minutes to perform that toolpath. Yeah, so there's a facing toolpath all the way through simulation. Matter of fact, I'm going to change the name to face, top. So not that it's super necessary, but just to show you can change the names of the toolpath.